Right, so the next speaker, it's an integral part of what we in the trade union movement are on about. We're on about equality and social justice. This government has tried to absolutely penalise the poor, mainly through the benefit system. The benefit system we have at the moment is absolutely shocking, and it's shocking for people on both sides of the counter. Our next speaker is someone who's been a tireless fighter both for civil servants who work in DWP and on behalf of people who have to claim benefits. So I'd like to introduce Fran Heathcote, National Vice President.
Thanks so much, Richard. And can I just say what a pleasure it is to come back to the Southwest. I'm from the Southwest, moved away years ago, but it's always lovely to come back, and what a fantastic setting. On May Day, a day all about workers' solidarity, I want to focus on that. Solidarity between workers, between public sector workers and those that use our services, and solidarity between all of us as we see attempts by the far right to sow division, to promote racist and fascist agendas against a backdrop of the likes of Trump and Tommy Robinson, who got a flavour of what he deserved this week, being given a platform in our country in an attempt to legitimise their arguments. So we must always remember that we need solidarity, and we must never forget that we need to build that solidarity. PCS campaigns for decent social security and a system that supports people, not one that grinds them down. Our members recognise that the attacks on our members' pay and living standards stem from the same source as those that seek to blame benefit claimants for the situation that they find themselves in, and that is this rotten Tory government. So we strive for the biggest, most united campaign possible that places the blame where it truly lies with this government and the so-called welfare reforms. Benefit cuts made since 2010 have pushed 700,000 more children into poverty, according to Child Poverty Action Group. 2/3 of children living in poverty are living in a household where at least one working parent or guardian. If you are sick or disabled, you are twice as likely to live in poverty. 4 million is the current number said to be living in poverty now. The introduction of fit-to-work assessments has led to a doubling in the number of attempted suicides by disability benefit claimants. And hospitals have reported an increased number of children suffering from rickets, a malnutrition disease of Victorian-era poverty Britain. That's a damning indictment of Tory Britain. And let's talk about universal credit. In March 2018, the DWP's own records showed that it failed to pay 21% of benefit claimants their full entitlement on time following their initial claim. The National Audit Office found that 113,000 payments were made late, affecting 1/4 of all new benefit claims. 40% of new claimants waited 11 weeks or more for full payment, and 20% waited almost 5 months or more. Food bank use, rent arrears and evictions have been rapidly rising in areas where universal credit has been rolled out. In the past year, 1.3 million emergency food bank parcels have been given out, and that's a 13% increase on previous years. 3/4 of all tenants claiming universal credit are in rent arrears, compared to 1/3 of all other tenants. Nearly 1/3 of landlords have evicted a universal credit tenant in the last 12 months. And 77% of those cases were due to rent arrears, which is an increase of 64% on previous years. Food bank use increased by 52% in the first 12 months in areas where universal credit was introduced, and that is 4 times higher than in areas where universal credit was not rolled out. Our members work in a range of roles across the DWP, and that includes the delivery of universal credit. They themselves are understaffed and underpaid. Low pay in the civil service means that 40% of PCS members processing universal credit will also be in receipt of it. And that is why we balloted PCS members for a civil service-wide campaign against the government-imposed public sector pay cap. And despite achieving the biggest and clearest mandate that we have ever had for strike action to defeat this rotten government's pay cap, under the anti-trade union legislation introduced as a means of stopping unions from fighting back, we narrowly missed out on achieving the 50% threshold this week. We made massive gains since last time we balloted, and despite initial disappointment from our activists, we are not despondent. We now have a glimpse of what is possible and are confident that next time we will smash it. We always knew we were in this for the long haul, and the Tories know that too. DWP are already struggling to deliver the rollout of universal credit, and the rollout schedule keeps being delayed. DWP struggles to deliver its ambitious plans. The rigid adherence of 4 weekly payments of universal credit in England and Wales is causing hardship for all claimants. And add that to the Tories introducing the two-child clause, otherwise known as the rape clause, where you have to prove that if you're claiming benefit for more than two children, the third child is a product of rape, and you have to do that in an open plan job centre. That's a disgrace, and that's something that has to be stopped. And you really begin to see what this hateful strategy is all about. Office closures under strategies like DWP's people and locations mean a reduction in experienced staff. Job centres should be an important community asset, especially in deprived areas, not just places where claimants and staff go to feel demoralised. Digitalisation of welfare excludes vulnerable groups, and Tory strategies like reducing football do nothing to recognise that. Reduced time between work coaches and claimants make it very difficult to form a good relationship. Universal credit is beset with problems, and there are now widespread calls for it to be scrapped. We agree with that, and we agree that the rollout must be stopped. We believe that it is in our members' and wider society's interests that a Corbyn-led government grasp the opportunity to radically transform our social security system, and to that end we have been meeting shadow ministers to articulate the sort of system that we would want to see. That is about putting forward our alternative. The social security system was originally conceived of a collective, secure safety net for those falling on hard times, but it has been replaced by a system geared around individual responsibility. We encourage any incoming Corbyn-led Labour Party to take the opportunity to make that historic step and set out a socialist vision for decent social security where nobody falls into poverty through unemployment or disability, and nobody is forced to choose between heating and eating. We need a radical overhaul of social security that puts an end to zero-hour contracts and unsustainable jobs, and recognises the need for significant investment in staff, in training, and delivering a properly resourced service from within the public sector and not from those seeking to make a profit out of it. Interserve, Servest and G4S are all greedy profiteers taking advantage of this current system, and low-paid staff who cook for them, clean for them and wait on their chief executives are now themselves delivering strike action for the first time because they cannot cope on the money that they are being paid. It's really, really heartening to see the CS of PCS, the commercial sector, standing up and being prepared to fight back against what this government is doing. The austerity argument has been lost. After nearly a decade of cuts, people want to see investment in public services, and we have a moral duty to look after everybody in society, especially those who rely most on the welfare state. PCS argues for decent social security, but we seek to coordinate the biggest joint campaign possible for a system that our members can truly take pride in delivering. And we ask all of you to join us. Thank you very much for listening.